Joining us now to discuss this is the Executive Director for the America First Policy Institute, also the former Acting Homeland Security Secretary, Chad Wolf. Chad, great to have you back with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, well, a couple of things to talk about here. I mean, seems like a giant distraction. I still can't believe this is real. But we got to see the Homeland Security Secretary before Congress and on the Sunday shows this past weekend, but yet he's defending his work. How is that possible?
Well, it's a great question. You know, he continues to say that the border is closed and the border is secure, and I think most Americans kind of laugh at that. And that's really doing a disservice to the men and women at DHS that are trying to do their job every day, and it's undermining the credibility of not only himself but the department. So in a time where we're facing the worst border crisis in the history of our country, we need someone to be honest and upfront with the American people about the threats and about the situation on that border. And when the average American hears from the DHS secretary that the border is closed and secure, they kind of throw up their hands and they say, what's going on? Why is he not being truthful with the American people and with members of Congress? And I think you saw that last week when he testified. There were a number of members on both sides that have said, look, enough's enough, and let's try to do something to secure the border. So I think there's a lot of frustration that's going around right now.
And very little pushback, Chad, from the mainstream media. Want to listen to Mayorkas, who was on NBC's Meet the Press, and there he is shifting the blame of the border crisis on other countries. Let's listen and get your reaction.
What we need countries to do is to apply their laws and say, look, if, in fact, somebody qualifies for relief in Panama, then they should be able to remain in Panama under the laws of that respective country. And if they don't, we need the country to repatriate those individuals. This is not our responsibility alone. It is a regional responsibility in response to a regional challenge.
So now we're expecting Central America to handle our borders. I mean, this is appalling. It seems that, many believe this administration, in fact, Chad, wants this to continue. They want these people to continue entering illegally.
Well, again, the comments by the secretary, particularly in that clip that you just showed, are very concerning, where he's talking about having other countries, in this case, Panama, actually enforcing border security measures and removing those individuals out of Panama back to their home countries. It's exactly what we should be doing here in the United States, but we're not doing. And so I think as this continues to go on, the American people are understanding that as we apprehend individuals and we try to remove them, we are not removing near the amount of individuals that we should be, because we're not detaining them. We're not holding them in order to remove them. So everyone that is both caught and then released, it's more and more difficult to remove them. So as the DHS secretary continues to say that we're removing individuals in an expedited or a quick fashion, that's simply not the case, because we're not detaining them. And detaining them equals removal. And if you don't do that, then you have a bigger concern. So again, we should be focusing on what we can do and enforcing the laws here in this country. I think, the places in Panama and other places in Central America, it's part of the solution. But we first have to start here at home.
Chad, there's been a lot of talk about impeaching Mayorkas if the Republican Party does take back control of the Congress. Do you think that's an inevitability?
Well, I think certainly in the House, I think it's a strong likelihood. I think what you see is members are very, very frustrated that, A, he's not being truthful with the American public when he talks about the border is safe and the border is secure. It's anything but. And then he's not actually putting in measures and policies and programs that are securing that border. And in fact, a lot of what is occurring is contributing to the worst crisis that we have seen. So I think it's problematic on a number of fronts. I think it would go a long way if they would start initiating policies that actually went to deterrence, to actually went to addressing the asylum issue. But if they don't do that, I think you're going to see more and more members, particularly in the House, start to call for that.
Chad Wolf, it's always great to have your insight. Appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you.
And stay with us. Much more ahead on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Here she is in Kyiv over the weekend with President Zelensky, John.
That's right. And the UN currently facilitating evacuations from Mariupol, that steel plant that's been under attack from the Russians. We're going to get a live report from Ukraine next.